in the quiet and idyllic village of Chargawan, nestled near Jabalpur in the state of Madhya Pradesh, India. A harrowing and tragic tale unfolded, forever altering the lives of the close-knit Giri family. The Giris, a prominent family of 6 brothers and their respective families, had built their lives around the peaceful occupation of farming, with a prosperous 40-acre plot of land. Their harmonious existence was disrupted on that fateful day of April 8, 2019, when young Bdal, a 10-year-old boy and the son of Uttargri Goswami, one of the brothers, mysteriously disappeared. The sudden disappearance of Bdal sent shockwaves throughout the village, which was already reeling from recent cases of child abductions and murders. The local police, acutely aware of the gravity of the situation, initiated a high-priority investigation and assembled a dedicated team to search for the missing child. Despite their best efforts, Bdal remained elusive, and the atmosphere in the village grew ever more tense as hours turned into days. The situation escalated on April 11, when the village was gripped by a sense of dread and fear. Villagers reported a foul smell emanating from an empty house on the village's outskirts. The police, their instincts on high alert, rushed to the scene. Inside the vacant house, they uncovered a sack emitting the noxious odor. This sack contained the lifeless body of Bdal, his hands and feet cruelly bound. The discovery rocked the community to its core, and the police were left with little doubt that a heinous crime had been committed, especially considering the presence of ritualistic items near the body. The property where Bdal's lifeless form was found belonged to a man named Ramji Shripal, who had moved away and seldom visited the house. The fact that one of the doors of the vacant property was locked added a perplexing layer to the unfolding mystery. This enigma deepened, leaving both the police and villagers with more questions than answers as they struggled to piece together the puzzle. As the investigation continued to unfold, suspicion shifted to Mukesh Shripal, the nephew of Ramji. Mukesh had recently come to the attention of the authorities in connection with a missing person case. His contradictory statements and involvement in the wider events raised significant suspicions, despite the lack of direct evidence linking him to the crime. The shocking truth eventually came to light. 3 individuals, Mukesh, Gudu, and an unnamed third person, found themselves entangled in a web of financial desperation, seeking a way out of their dire straits. Together, they concocted a nefarious plan to kidnap Bdal, with the hope of extracting a substantial ransom. On the fateful morning of April 8th, they lured the unsuspecting Bdal to an isolated house, where, unexpectedly, Bdal's own uncle, Anil, appeared on the scene. Anil made no attempt to hide his identity and reassured Bdal that he would be reunited with his family soon. As the hours passed and Bdal's anxiety grew, he began to cry, yearning for his home. Fearing that his cries would draw unwanted attention, the perpetrators silenced him, gagging and binding him, before leaving him alone in the deserted house. The police, alerted by Bdal's frantic father, had already been on high alert due to the recent child abductions in the region. They arrived in the village, casting an unsettling presence over the community. Anil, Mukesh, and their accomplices were paralyzed by fear as they witnessed the law enforcement officers converging on the village. In their panic, they hastily devised a plan to evade capture. Ultimately, driven by desperation and the fear of exposure, Bdal's captors took the unimaginable step up, extinguishing the young boy's life by strangling him. They concealed his lifeless body in a sack, intending to dispose of it in a remote location, far removed from the village. However, fate intervened, and a villager returning from the fields stumbled upon them, shining a light on their ill-fated endeavor. His flashlight revealed the presence of the sack, and fear once again gripped the perpetrators, their secret on the precipice of unraveling. The sack, now transformed into a chilling symbol of their dark deeds, was laid bare for all to see. The once serene village was now haunted by a sinister secret, and the unresolved question hung heavy in the air. Would justice prevail, or would the curse of this heinous crime continue to shroud the village in darkness? The passage of time did little to quell the agony that had gripped the Giri family and the entire village. The truth surrounding Bidal's murder remained elusive, casting a long shadow over the community. In the eyes of many, especially Bidal's 5 grieving brothers, the true perpetrator of this heinous act had yet to be unmasked, and suspicion rested squarely on their own uncle, Anil. The police, under immense pressure to resolve the case and plagued by accusations of arresting innocent individuals, found themselves facing a conundrum. The top-ranking police officers, recognizing the gravity of the situation, decided to take a unique approach. Anil, one of the confessed culprits, had not yet been formally arrested. As a common villager and the victim's uncle, the police took Anil to meet his brothers. They left the siblings in a closed room and narrated the entire story to them in a bid to unearth the truth. Nevertheless, despite the confessions and police efforts, the real killer of Bidal, the young victim whose life was prematurely extinguished, remained shrouded in darkness. The village continued to grapple with unanswered questions and a pervasive sense of unease, with the lingering uncertainty that the true perpetrator was still at large.